I began to think that it was all right to be the way it was that I was, violent or, rude, disrespectful to my mother.
So, Jose, tell me about your dad.
But my dad, I can't really remember too much about it because we never really we came from a family where we were doing a lot of moving around, and as growing up, we've never really had what other kids had. We always wondered why we didn't have what they had as far as gifts on Christmas and stuff like that. But I can't say that he never bought us anything for Christmas, because I remember one time that he actually did buy us something for Christmas. But it's I mean,
Story on him. Was he around?
was he around? He was working a lot, but I remember as a youngster, my mother would come. We would have to go look for him every once in a while. I remember one time she came and we looked for him and he was at a bar. We had to go to a bar to find him. And it was a lot of the arguing going on, like at the house whenever he would be home. And it just like it was said earlier, it became as a normal thing, to see the arguing and the fighting all the time, and a lot of it would come from my dad would accuse my mother of cheating on him, and he would actually take me with him, and this was already around the age of 12, 13, and we would sit in the car and we'd wait at outside of her job, and he uh he brought some bearings with him and a slingshot. And this is what I was learning, as a young guy. I didn't think nothing bad about it. I thought it was fun at the time, because my dad said, well, here, look, we're gonna break these windows to this car, and had me doing some, writing my name down. Like, he would rip a bunch of piece of papers and write our names down, and we tear it up and throw it to the ground, around the guy's car. And I didn't think nothing about it. I'm just, okay, what are we doing? I just thought it was a game. And later on down the line, I started seeing that with my dad, things was just, it wasn't right. I felt that it wasn't right because I seen my mother cry too much, and I started getting older, and I know it started bothering me, but I had got used to it. So now I started acting out towards my mom, because of what happened. I guess you could say we could relate that to what happened with my father, as far as him allowing me to do things that I already done and witnessed. I began to think that it was all right to be the way it was that I was, violent or, rude, disrespectful to my mother. And
So you saw that in him. So that was because your old man treated your mom in a certain way, abusive or whatever. You thought, man, that's
I believe that gave me the okay to do it. I believe it gave me the okay to do it. And just right around the age of 15, my father got sent to prison, and he got 25 years. And okay, let me rewind a little bit. I still I'm me. I was always wondering why we didn't have what everybody else was having. The shoes, and always wanted to go buy new shoes and stuff like that, but we couldn't afford it. And maybe once my dad took me to the mall to buy me a shirt or two, some polo shirts. But there was a reason behind why he did it, and I didn't know until later on, why the reason was, because he was feeling guilty, something that he did. And I don't really want to talk about that one. I don't want, but
cool.
and so that's the reason why he got the 25 years. But I was I remember, well, I got together with the mother of my children around the age of 16. Started dating, and I never knew how to be a husband or a dad, a boyfriend, much less, because every time I would get into a relationship, I would think that she would be cheating on me, and I would start accusing her of cheating on me. And I never had that trust. I never grew up with the trust of being able to trust a woman. And
And that came from
from being, from my dad. I believe that's where it came from seeing him do it. So it just grew on me. It just was coming out naturally, and I became abusive as well. I would hit the mother of my children after she had my little girl. Well, I got to the point well, my dad used to whoop on us when we were little, and he would whoop us pretty bad. And I guess those growing up the Hispanic, that's how they were whooping their children. They were putting a beating on them, extension cords, and but I became the same way my father was to my children. The way he was to me, I became the same way to my children. I remember one time my little girl, Faith, she's now 10 years old, she said something to me, and she got me so angry that I swung back and hit her in the mouth. And, and I felt bad. I didn't think of it, and it didn't cross my mind then that I was doing something wrong until now. As I got older, I'm 28 now. I having my daughter. I was 18 when we had our daughter. I have 3 children, and as far as how it made me in a relationship wise after I got with the mother of my children, I didn't know how to be a husband, how to be a father. I tried to work. I thought that by working I was doing the right thing, and going out and drinking, staying out late, 10 o'clock at night, that I was doing the manly thing, because I never knew. Nobody showed me how to be a father, or how I was supposed to be a manly type of person. I never witnessed that. And getting the getting the getting the how I could say getting the idea from seeing the people that I worked with that were older than me, and watching them do it, getting drunk, and I started leaning on them and following them, tagging along to them, because I didn't have nobody to show me when I was younger. And I've come to understand at the same time, I've learned about forgiveness because of that. I understand that he wasn't in his right mind at the time either. He was going through some things. He was fighting some demons that he had in himself. And I can never say that he was doing drugs or anything like that, but I can say that he was drinking. I remember one time he came in stumbling, and I didn't know nothing about it. I was sleeping on the floor. We would all sleep on the floor, and we stayed in the trailer home, and we slept on the floor. He came in stumbling. One thing I also remember, as far as me coming into guns and stuff like that, I'm trying to see if it has anything to do with it, because when I was younger, I remember my dad and my uncle. My uncle came to the house with a pretty big gun, and I didn't know what kind of gun it was. I just knew it was a gun. I remember he accidentally hit my mother with it on the head. He was playing with it, and he accidentally hit her. He apologized. It was an accident. We stayed in a 2-story home on Sheldon Woods. Yes, sir.
cool.
We stayed in a home in Sheldon Woods, 2-story home, and I came upstairs looking for him, and he was outside sitting on the roof with the gun. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm watching them people right there, next door, the neighbors." So I didn't know what he was doing, but now that I think of it, he was probably on drugs or paranoid or something, because I've done drugs, and I felt that paranoid feeling. So just thinking back and seeing how he was in the position he was, I've seen myself do that. And I mean, I can't say that led me to get comfortable to be around guns.
So tell me, what are the bad things you learned from your father?
The bad things, learned how to be violent. Learned how I got a little racist. I'm from what he had told me, so far at growing up, and I've got rid of the racism though. It also came with me, joining a gang while I was in prison, so that kind of came with it. But when I released myself, I got rid of that. But got violent, racism, abuse, not stable. I wasn't stable because I never learned how to be stable. Well, him going to prison, I didn't want to follow in his footsteps as far as to what he went to prison for. But at a young age, I did see myself going to prison, because I knew that the life that I was beginning to live, the going out and the drinking, the doing drugs, and eventually led me to commit crimes because I didn't have nobody else. My mother didn't have enough money to support us, 6 children, after my dad went to prison because it happened so fast. I went out and committed crimes, started robbing stores and stuff like that.
You don't know what other than what you've seen growing up. And
Yeah.
that could be good or bad one way or the other, but if your dad's this way, most likely you're going to grow up the same way because of that.
I blamed a lot of the stuff that I was doing on the fact that my dad wasn't there because I didn't have nobody to lead me, and I felt like I had to fend for myself now, and that I was the man of the house, and I didn't know how to be the man of the house. So my being man of the house was screaming to my sister, "Stay home, where y'all going? Stay inside." And when I would see them argue, I'd go over there and hit them because that's what that's what I seen, and I felt like that was the only way I could get them apart was to hit them. But it was all done out of brotherly love. We still have a strong bond together, and they actually thank me for that now because I taught them how not to fight family, which they still get into little arguments here and there, but all the violent stuff inside the family has left.
What's the one thing you wish your dad would have done differently?
I wish he would have, cared, showed me love, know that I was somebody and show me how to fend for myself, without me having to go do it on my own and doing it the wrong way. Because I seen that he was working, he did work. I could say that he did keep a job and that we always had food. Well, not yeah. When he was there, we always had food. When he left, it was hard. It was struggling, and show me how to be a father so that I could be a father for my children because I haven't been there for my children in over 5 years, coming in and out of the system, and trying to do the right thing by doing wrong. As far as stealing and selling drugs or whatnot, and I just wish he would have showed me how to love.
How you saw your father treat your mom gave you approval, if you will,
Yes.
that you could do the same thing to women and even your mom.
I didn't see nothing wrong with it. I thought that I was playing the manly role. I thought that that's the way a man was supposed to be towards his wife, and the wife was just supposed to bow down to him, for whatever he did, go do this, and she was supposed to go do it. And even it just recently stopped between me and my mother because I've changed my life around. It just recently stopped, and that I would scream at her, and she would always try to help me out, and I'm like, man, I'm trying to get her to do because I haven't been able to provide for myself for a long time because I had an addiction. I got addicted to drugs, and I was fighting some demons myself. I didn't know how to fend for myself then, and that's when I fell off the face of the earth for a while, and until now. But even when she would let me in her home, I would try to tell her what to do, and that she was supposed to listen to me. But when I think back and look at it now, I shouldn't have been that way. I didn't know how. It took me a long time. It took a long time for me to see how life was supposed to be and what was really was about.
If you could say one thing to your father right now, what would it be?
I would ask him why, why did it have to be that way, and why couldn't he have been the man and chose right from wrong then to show us how to live our life, so that we can grow up as a family,
What do you think the best thing about being a father?
The best thing about being a father is wanting to hug the children, just the look on their faces, and them looking up to me now, calling me and still calling me their daddy after that I haven't been there for so long. Just like I still call him my dad, and I had to learn to forgive him, for the things that he did. And now that I look at my children, I don't want to miss that no more. I don't want to ever lose that. I've wasted too much time, and now I'm ready to come home. I'm ready to come home and be a father, even though me and the mother are not together. And just like my mom and my dad are not together, and I had to learn that, maybe it's not meant for me and her to be together, but we still have beautiful children together, and I want to come home and take care of my family. Just growing up without a father, without my dad, I'm just gonna talk to you normal now. Growing out without my dad, man, I just I grew into the party life. I'm not gonna lie to you. Even while he was there, I would do a little drinking and come home, you know, a little drunk and try to hide it. I think he probably knew what I was. I think he probably knew, but didn't say nothing because I think he was trying to hide his own stuff, you know. And I guess he was willing to please let me do what I wanted to get away. And you know, I staying out, the partying, the drinking, eventually led to me, you know, wanting to do bigger things as far as you know committing crimes to get money because I wanted to have money in my pocket. And that was a thing going on back then. And listen, the music, I loved to listen to the music. The music, you know, just enabled me to go a little further, you know, because I wanted to be like the people that were singing the music, you know, the rappers. That's who I would look up to because I didn't have, not, there was nothing for me to look up to at home because it was like, it was boring, you know, or at least I thought it was, but there was a lot of secrets going on that I didn't know about, you know, and keeping me outside, you know. So I looked for comfort there and I found comfort. I got comfortable with them. And eventually we went out and around 2000, the year 2000, you know, I was about 15, 16 years old. And a couple friends of mine, you know, we were at his house and a friend come over and he found some guns in his dad's uh boombox. You know, they found some guns in a boombox. And another friend of mine just so happened to buy a shotgun. So we we talked about, you know, we talked about getting some money. And he's like, man, you want to go rob some store? And I said, man, I said, it don't matter. I said, let's do it. You know, I got to that point where I was willing to do whatever, you know. I thought I was down. I was being down. I was keeping it real. You know, that was the street way of living, you know, especially I wasn't growing up. I didn't feel like I had a dad at home. So I was keeping it real, just being true to my friends, you know, because that was my family now. And so we went out robbing stores and about four stores later ended up getting caught almost miraculously by God's grace that nobody got hurt on the first one because we actually had a friend of mine had to, you know, shoot at some people, you know, to get away. And I'm 16 years old and thinking this was all fun. You know, I was kind of scared, but when we got away, I was like, man, you know what? We could do this again. You know, I woke up the next day, and the next day I thought it was a dream, waking up with the money, you know, in my shoe, because I was back then I was having dreams that I would wake up with money, and I'd look, and it was gone. Or this time I looked in my shoe, and the money was there. I was like, man. And as soon as I woke up, my friends come knocking on the window. Hey, man, let's go to the mall, man. Let's go to the mall. I said, man, let's go. I said, let me go. I'm going to ask my aunt to take us. So I asked my aunt to take us. We ended up going to the mall, spending the money, and that's how you know, that the stuff that I couldn't get from my dad, I ended up getting it for myself. But at this time, my dad was already gone. He already went to prison, probably about a few months later down the road. So the stuff that my mother couldn't provide for me because we were struggling with money, and she was working at restaurants at the time, you know, because of her legal status here, and so. I bought my first pair of Jordans with that because that's what was everybody was getting and I wanted the same thing. And you know, I thought I was doing the right thing, and or at least I thought I was being a man. I was like, man, this is how it's supposed to be. You know, I didn't think I was being a man, but I knew I was doing what I wanted to do, and I was getting what I needed, or I thought I needed. So it later on went down the line to you know getting the violent part. You know, at this time I started growing up, and we ended up, you know, a lot of the fighting was going on, and it was to the point where people would look at each other, and you know, you look at you the wrong way, man. What you looking at? You know, or if you didn't say nothing, you felt like you was being, you know, being punked or whatever. And you know, and we wanted to be men back then. You know, man, it was the manly thing to do was to look at the guy and say, "What's up? What you looking at? You know, what you talking about?" And right then, the other guy already knew, "Hey, man, we finna fight." You know, because he ain't gonna back down, and I ain't gonna back down, and we already know what's gonna happen after this, and that's what it is. We ended up, you know, just going at it, going our few rounds or two. Are you good? All right, we're good, and shook hands and walked away. And it was stupid because the way we were living like that, and it was thing to do back then. That's how everybody was growing up. And man, you know, I gotta thank God because I ended up went down the line. I was doing so much cocaine at a young age that I didn't realize I was getting addicted to it. I ended up selling cocaine, and I started getting addicted, little more addicted to it. To the one day, me and my cousin would snort a half an ounce of cocaine in 2 days, and that was not normal because it just wasn't normal. And I didn't know I was addicted. Like I said, I didn't. And a friend of mine came one day. We ran out of cocaine, and I ended up doing. He said, "Man, let's try some of that crack cocaine." So we tried the crack cocaine, and I didn't feel nothing. I didn't feel nothing, that first time, and a few times, a few more times after that, I wanted to do it myself, and I didn't even know I was hooked in. I had the taste coming down my mouth, and I went and did it by myself, and I ended up starting. That's how I started to fall off and just lost myself in the world because of the drugs, and it got to the point where that's how I lost my family, I lost my kids because of that. And not just that just adding along to the fact that I was already abusive, to my wife, leaving, cheating all the time, and not take care of my business like I was supposed to. Now I would stay out late at night, and my baby mama would call me, "Hey, I need some milk for the baby," and she was just a baby, still sipping Similac, and I'm like, I'm so messed up on drugs, I couldn't even get in my car because I was so paranoid. And this is why I relate to my father when he was sitting on the roof with the gun, because the paranoid feeling. I seen that he was paranoid. I'm like, and I'm thinking, man, I bet that's when my dad was on drugs back then, because the way he was. And I couldn't even walk out my car because I felt like something was gonna attack me or someone was gonna attack me. The paranoid, the demons that I was talking about, that I know that are real. I know the demons are real because once we get into that spiritual world, the demons start to show themselves to us, to me, or to whoever's fighting the demon at the time. Other people can't see it unless there's this got the spiritual vision, and we know, we won't know what's going on, know about the other, know about but by heaven and hell and stuff like that, about the good and the evil. And well, I got so messed up on it, man. Started losing everything. It got to the point where I would be out I would stop leaving home. I already had me and my baby mama split up, and I just started staying out. Didn't even have nowhere to go no more because my mom didn't want me home because she knew what I was doing, because she would catch me smoking in the restroom, and I was trying to be slick about it, and I was sitting there looking under the doors because I was so paranoid, trying to see, thinking she was coming, and I'm stupid, I just stupid, you know what I mean? And after all this, while I'm going through this drug addiction, this is when I started to catch my snap, because I knew that that's not who I was supposed to be. Something inside was telling me this is not you, and I knew, God, why am I like this, God? Why am I going through this? And the only thing that I could hear was, well, you did it to other people, because I hurt people's families when I would sell them drugs, and I would pawn their toys, their PlayStations and stuff like that, for a dime or a 20. So I knew that it was happening to me. You reap what you sow. I knew it was happening to me, but I knew it wasn't gonna last long, And it's been about 7 years, but during all this time, that's when I started realizing all the stupidity that I did, and I started realizing that that where my father was kind of coming from, the demons part, as far as that, well, I could actually forgive him for, the things that he did, because I knew that he wasn't in his right mind, because I wasn't in my right mind, and I was out there doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing. And, you know,
And it's the same thing too. And I didn't ask you this, I don't think, but the idea that I don't know if you knew what his father was like. Most
yeah,
likely,
I didn't. He probably went through the same thing.
probably the same thing. So it takes you young guys say
Break the curse.
no more, man.
Break the curse.
Yeah, that curse is broken, and I'm taking my legacy as a father
Yeah.
and as a man
Amen.
down a different path.
And I just want to finish with this. I gotta thank God that during this time I called out to God, crying to Him, like my brother said earlier. They were sitting here. He said that God started showing him. God started showing me. That's not the way you're supposed to live. That's not you. So I started calling out to God, and I knew, and it took for me to come a few times. I've been in state jail for about 2.5 years. I've probably been out for about 3 months. I've been back. I've been in and out 2.5 years, 3 times. When I finish here, it's gonna be 2.5 years. I did a 9-month piece, and when I got out for the 9 month, when I was here for the 9 months, I tried to get into the Word, you know, and I was trying to look for God and all that, but I was still straddling the fence. I was still trying to live, you know, part of the gang life and part of God. And there's no way that God says either you're gonna be in or you're out, or you hot or cold, or I'll spew you out my mouth, you know, like lukewarm water, or you know, and so, you know, I knew what I was doing wrong. I knew I was doing wrong, but I knew that I had to stop that. I just wasn't strong enough to stop that yet. You know, I wasn't man enough to stop that because I didn't know how to be a man. And I thought I was being a man. You know, it was confusing, but I knew what I had to do. And I got out for that. I stayed out for 3 weeks. I went to Harris County for a assault with a family member, assault on a family member, you know, a girlfriend that I had. And, you know, we got into an argument and I tried to fight it, but naturally I went back to my old instincts, to the old way of living, the old way that I knew, and, you know, got a little abusive. And I went in for 2 months and I came back out. I stayed a week out and I went back to the crime and, you know, to stealing, to breaking into cars in the house. And I came back for 6 months. During the 9 months that I stayed out, I got shot on the side right here. When I got out for the 9 months, I got shot on the side during that 3 week period I stayed out. Before I went in for the 2 months for the assault, I got out for that for a week and I came back in for 6 months. After I got out for the 6 months, I got shot in my back for going back to the same thing and I never went to the hospital for none of them, but I knew God was on my side because I was still able to walk and I was still breathing. And this is how God got my attention. Finally got my attention because I know that if I go out there again to live the same life, I'm gonna die because the way that I am when I'm not living my normal life, when I'm not living the way God wants me to live, I'm doing the devil's work, and that's does nothing but open the door for me for hell. And I was already close. So I know if I go back, I'm just gonna start off right where I left, and I'm just gonna get deeper, and that's it for me. And I know this in my heart. So you know, I got to thank God that He opened my eyes. He finally opened my eyes to this, and I've made peace with my mom since I've been here this time. I made peace with her. She actually started telling me stories about her past, which we never opened up to each other like that. But I prayed. I said, God, let me have a relationship with my mom. I just want to be the brother, the son, and the mother, the brother, the son, and you know that to my family, and the father to my children, you know, that I never was. And it started open, and God started showing me, you know, just stay with me and you get all this back. Sincere heart, because God accepts a contrite of broken spirit. And my spirit was broken when I accepted God. And ever since then, and I ran into the pastor in Harris County, my heart has just been soaking it in, and I started leaving the old past behind, and I started getting a lot of forgiveness towards people in general, you know. And I realized that it's all about love, like my brother says, it's all about love, and that's where I'm at now. And I just got to thank God for that, and I'm ready for the next level, and I thank God for that, you know. He opened my heart.
Watch the Father Effect movie for free on YouTube.